Warm welcome to viewers in the Carbon State capital and from around the world. This is Worldview. My name is Xavier Robert, and on our top stories today, Israeli members of parliament a controversial bill despite mass protests which aims to thwart it. Russia accused Ukraine of being behind the damage that least 2 buildings in the capital, Moscow, today. Spain enters phase of political uncertainty that could see the country return to the polls in just a few months. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First on Worldview today, Israeli members of parliament have passed into law a highly controversial bill despite mass protests which aim to thwart it. The law removes the power of the Supreme Court to overrule government actions it considers unreasonable. It is the first in a series of bitterly contested reforms aimed at curbing the power of courts to be approved. The planned reforms have triggered some of the biggest protests in Israel's history, with opponents warning they imperil Israel as a democracy. The government argues that the measures are necessary to correct an imbalance in power, which has seen the courts increasingly intervene in political decisions in recent decades. The so-called reasonableness bill was approved by 64 votes to 0 after the opposition boycotted the final vote. In remarks to the Knesset parliament, opposition leader Yair Lapid called the step a takeover by an extreme minority over the Israeli majority. The vote brings to a head months of turmoil, with Israel's president warning political leaders today that the country was in a state of national emergency. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was discharged from hospital after emergency surgery to fit a pacemaker. Netanyahu had been admitted to the Sheba Medical Center on Saturday night. His hospitalization came ahead of the key vote in parliament on contentious plans to overhaul Israel's judiciary. Elsewhere, at least 15 people have been killed and thousands evacuated after wildfires broke out across Algeria. This is according to the country's interior ministry. Outbreaks of 97 wildfires were recorded across 16 provinces, affecting forest, crops and farmland on Monday. Around 7,500 firefighters were working to bring the blazes under control, according to authorities. 26 people were also injured and 1,500 evacuated from their homes in Fenaya, Béjaïa, Jaber and Boira. The most extensive fires in the mountainous Kabylie region to the east of Algiers spread to residential areas in the coastal towns of Béjaïa and Jijel, fanned by high winds. Northern Algeria has been experiencing a record heat wave in recent days, with temperatures reaching 48 degrees Celsius. Algeria's meteorological office has warned that temperatures of more than 48 degrees Celsius are likely to continue until the end of the month in the north of the country. Since the heat wave began, electricity consumption in Algeria is reported to have reached the highest level in the country's history. Now in China, 11 people have died after the roof of a school gymnasium in northeast China collapsed while it was being used by a girls' volleyball team. This is according to the state media reports. Now, many of the victims are children, eyewitnesses told local media, although this is yet to be officially confirmed. Anguished parents have thronged a nearby hospital seeking updates. Only 8 of the 19 people who were inside the gym in the industrial province of Heilongjiang survived. And police have detained the bosses at a local construction company, according to local media. Now, they have been accused of dumping perlite, a form of volcanic glass, on the roof of the gym while working on an adjacent building project. Away from that, Russia has accused Ukraine of being behind a drone attack that damaged at least 2 buildings in the capital, Moscow, today. The Russian Defense Ministry said 2 drones were suppressed and crushed, adding that there were no casualties. In a separate development, Russian installed officials ordered people to evacuate 1 district of Crimea, the Ukrainian southern peninsula annexed by Moscow in 2014, after a reported overnight Ukrainian drone attack. Kremlin-appointed regional head Sergei Aksenov said an ammunition depot was hit in the northern Zhankoy area, adding that residents of nearby villages were told to leave their homes. Meanwhile, Ukraine said 4 people were injured and a grain hangar was destroyed in new Russian drone attacks on its southern Odisha region. It said the country's port infrastructure on the Danube was targeted. Elsewhere, at least 31 people have been killed and dozens of others missing after heavy flooding from seasonal rains. The Taliban's appointed spokesman for Afghanistan Disaster Ministry said that at least 74 were injured and 41 others were missing after flooding over the past 3 days. Reports say flash floods had hit the capital Kabul, the Maidan Wardak and Ghazni provinces. He said that the majority of the casualties were in West Kabul and Maidan Wardak. Rahimi said about 250 livestock perished in the floods. The flooding brought further misery to the already suffering Afghanistan in April. The United Nations Humanitarian Affairs Agency said the South Asian country was facing its 3rd consecutive year of drought, its 2nd year of severe economic hardship, and the consequences of decades of war and natural disasters. Elsewhere, Greece's fire service says thousands of people have been evacuated from homes and hotels on the island of Rhodes. Reports say private boats have joined the Greek Coast Guard in helping to pick up people from beaches on the east of the island. Greek Navy vessels are also reported to be heading to the area, which is popular with tourists. Meanwhile, Greece's deputy fire chief says the fires on Rhodes are the most difficult his service is currently facing. 5 helicopters and 173 firefighters are operating in the area, with 2 hotels in the Kyoktari area reported to have been damaged by fire. Spain has entered a phase of political uncertainty that could see the country return to the polls in just a few months. Sunday's snap election failed to produce a decisive winner. The Conservative People's Party (PP) won the most seats but fell short of a parliamentary majority, even with the support of the far-right Vox party. Now, the Conservatives and the incumbent Socialists will both separately try to form coalitions. PP leader Alberto Núñez Feijóo and his rival Socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez will each begin negotiations today to try to head off a fresh vote, which might take place by the end of 2023. As the leader of the party that won the most votes, Feijóo will be invited by King Felipe V to try to form a government if Feijóo declines on the grounds that he cannot muster enough support, as former PP leader Mariano Rajoy did in a similar situation in 2015. The king may turn to Sanchez. If the candidate accepts the king's invitation, he then has 2 months to secure a majority. Away from that, the death toll from a massive landslide in India's Maharashtra state has jumped to 27, with at least 50 people still missing as rescue teams struggle in lashing rain. Reports say the landslide was triggered by monsoon rain smashing into a village in Raigad district, a hilly and forested site about 100 kilometers from Mumbai. Meanwhile, emergency teams have reportedly been digging for bodies under the mounds of earth and rubble. Now, the United States says it is deeply concerned by reports of a viral video showing 2 women paraded naked in India's northeastern state of Manipur. a sexual assault case that enraged the country. The assault, in which a mob allegedly gang raped and paraded naked the tribal women, took place more than 2 months ago after ethnic clashes between the two communities broke out in the remote state. But the assault captured national and global attention after the video went viral on social media last week, forcing Prime Minister Narendra Modi to break his public silence over Manipur violence. Demonstrators with black clothes covering their mouths shouted slogans during a protest over sexual violence against women in the ongoing ethnic violence in India's northeastern state of Manipur. A U.S. State Department spokesperson called the Manipur incident brutal and terrible and said the U.S. conveyed its sympathies to the victims. The U.S. encouraged a peaceful and inclusive resolution to the Manipur violence and urged authorities to respond to humanitarian needs while protecting all groups, homes, and places of worship. The State Department spokesperson made these comments. After the break, at least 9 people were killed in plane crash in Sudan's coastal city of Port Sudan. To stay with us for details on this and more right after the break.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
The Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, 33 people have died in Cameroon's biggest city after a 4-story building collapsed and fell onto another residential block. Firefighters confirm. It happened early on Sunday morning in Douala's Ange Raphael neighborhood, and the cause is still not clear. At least 21 people have been injured, many of whom are receiving treatment at the nearby Laguintini Hospital. A 3-year-old girl who was taken to hospital on Sunday was later confirmed dead. Distressed neighbors have been searching the rubble for survivors along with emergency services. The regional governor, Samuel Diadone Ifaha Deboa, has sought to reassure people, saying the situation is under control and rescue teams will make sure nobody is left beneath the wreckage. Away from that, a soldier in the northeastern Democratic Republic of the Congo opened fire on family members and others who had buried his son before he could arrive home to attend the ceremony, killing 13 people. This is according to officials on Sunday. The attack late Saturday in the village of Nyakover on the banks of Lake Albert in the province of Ituri left the soldier's wife, in-laws, and 2 of his children dead. According to Lieutenant Jules Ngongo, a spokesperson for the army in Ituri province where the killings took place. 8 other children were said to be among those also killed by the unidentified soldier Baraka Mugowa Oscar. The local village chief said the soldier arrived home from his post at another village in the province to find family and community members gathered in mourning for his son, who died on Thursday of natural causes, adding that this soldier did not like the fact that his son was buried without his approval and in his absence. Search teams comprising members of the Congolese military have been dispatched to apprehend the soldier who fled the scene after the attack. Away from that, at least 15 people are dead after a ferry sank off Indonesia's Sulawesi island, according to local authorities. The ferry had 40 passengers on board when it sank at approximately midnight, and authorities are searching for 19 people who remain missing. Indonesia's National Search and Rescue Agency said on Monday 6 passengers were rescued and are being treated in hospital. Meanwhile, at least 9 people have been killed in a plane crash in Sudan's coastal city of Port Sudan. Sudanese army said in a statement that a civilian Antonov plane crashed at Port Sudan airport as a result of a technical failure, leading to the deaths of 9 people, including 4 military personnel. 1 child survived the crash. The crash on Sunday came 100 days after fighting in Sudan broke out on April 15 between the army and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group in the capital Khartoum and states in western Sudan. Port Sudan, in the Red Sea state located on the eastern coast of the country, is one of the cities that have been under the control of the Sudanese army since the war began. Port Sudan airport is the only one still working in the country, making the city a vital transit point for much-needed foreign aid. The war has left at least 3,000 people dead across Sudan, according to a conservative estimate. Now in the U.S., a federal judge has scheduled former President Donald Trump's trial for alleged mishandling of classified documents for spring next year. Judge Eileen Cannon set the case for 20th May 2024. Trump had wanted the trial postponed until after the November 2024 presidential election. The high-profile case will begin with the election campaign in full swing. Trump, aged 77, faces serious charges over the storage of sensitive files at his Florida home. Prosecutors say he illegally kept secret documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate after he left office and obstructed government efforts to retrieve them. The former president has maintained his innocence, lambasting the case as an attempt to destroy his election campaign. Judge Cannon, a Trump appointee, said the 2-week trial would take place in Fort Pierce, Florida. And finally, on Worldview Today, Twitter has launched its new logo, dropping the blue bird on its website for an X as part of a wider rebranding. The social media network site on Monday showed the company's new logo, a white X on a black background. Twitter owner Elon Musk and its chief executive officer Linda Yaccarino unveiled the new logo for the social media network. Yaccarino, who also posted a picture of the logo projected on the company's offices in San Francisco, said, "Tweeted X is here. Let's do this. The new logo is the latest change since Musk bought the social media platform for $44 billion last year. On Sunday, Twitter's billionaire had said in a series of posts on his account that he is looking to make the change worldwide as soon as Monday. And with that, we wrap up our package view on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. My name is Xavier Robert, reaching you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. You've been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.